F Boston. I hate Boston. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that was highlighted this episode. We're here for a Winning Time episode 7 reaction. Thank you guys for tuning in. Before we fully jump into it, you know what we would like to do here. Let's get this intro rolling. We are back. It's your boy G along with Alec, another great episode of Section 300. Appreciate you guys for tuning in yet again. Continue to follow us online on IG and TikTok at Section.300. Follow us on Twitter at Section 300 Sports. A lot of good stuff going on across the board. Subscribe to the show for you guys doing it on YouTube and across all of our podcast streaming services. And as I said to start, Winning Time episode 7 is rolling on, and we finally got the dynamic of Magic versus Larry Bird introduced into the show, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Alec, what did you think about that dynamic? And then we'll get on to what else went down in episode 7 as well.
Yeah. The rivalry was a great dynamic to see finally in this show, and I was just thinking, like, this is a great episode, man. Like, I've really enjoyed every episode, but this one stood out, like, in particular, as a great episode from start to finish, between everything they touched on. So yeah, let's get right into it.
Yeah, just to stay there real quick, just the timing of it was just really was perfect in a way, because we had them and what was going on with the episode yesterday, as we all just witnessed. We also Boston and the Nets series that just went down, and seeing just how riled up those fans were, and all the dynamic between them versus Kyrie in the stands, and seeing how it might not be the same levels today, the same levels today. But we saw how we see literally today how Boston fans are still very rowdy and go up players and all of that. And then it was amplified times a million back in the day with how they were treating the Lakers when they finally came into town. So yeah, we'll go. There's plenty of other stuff that went on as well, but just that dynamic of the Boston fans. What do you think of how they portrayed that city in the episode?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a pretty close to accurate portrayal of how Boston at least was at that point. Yeah.
Real quick, I'll let you continue in a second, but we're gonna have our guy Matt on, who's our Boston expert, to come in soon to further explain how accurate that depiction was. But yeah, go ahead, Alec. Go ahead.
Gonna make him repent for the crimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that should be a fun episode. Sorry we couldn't bring him on this week, but he'll answer for the crimes of Boston for sure. I thought if not spot on, I thought it was close to a very accurate representation of what it was like, the animosity between the teams first and foremost, but then the city of Boston, how they treat opposing teams. I mean, just the breakdown that Norm Nixon was given before to his teammates about what it was like to play in Boston, and how you could hear the little leprechaun laughing when you walked in. It was a crap hole essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole element of when they just broke down Boston was great. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely was great. And then we saw it on the court as it played out. That was more so at the end of the episode. But kind of before we got there, we did, though, with Boston, got the introduction of Larry Bird. And I guess I mixed up the story, because I thought the rivalry with him and Magic was like a playful rivalry. I didn't realize that Larry actually hated Magic early on. Like, Larry came in, he was the country boy, he was chewing on sunflower, wherever that was, and just was the complete, antithesis, or how you want to describe it, of Magic. Magic was a very charismatic and fun and happy guy, and Larry Bird was like, "We're gonna kick your fucking ass." Like,
I think part of it was Magic beat him in college too.
Sure. Now I definitely understood that, but I thought they were still kind of friends in the midst of that. I didn't realize that there was actual animosity, at least from Larry Bird's side. I don't know how accurate that was. I know this show kind of stretches some things a little bit, but just the even the idea of them not actually being buddy, and there was actually some real vitriol, I guess, between them, was very interesting to see. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. What do you think of Larry Bird's depiction in this episode?
Yeah, I thought. I mean, I'm not an aficionado on Larry Bird coming from that 80s era, but it seemed like a pretty solid depiction, and like they had the scene of him like telling the defenders where he was gonna go, which has been well documented that he used to do that. Like that was his
Right.
version of like talking trash. Like he'd
Right.
tell people exactly what he was gonna do, and then he'd do it. So that was a cool little moment there. But yeah, I thought from the look to how he carried himself as Larry Legend, like they call him, I felt like it was a pretty good representation of him.
Yeah, him in that episode with Boston introduced is part of why I'm full Lakered out today. I mentioned a while ago on a podcast that one of the first moments as a child, we have our first run out of the house or whatever, we run away, was my mom, who didn't fully know, tried to put a Larry Bird poster in my room. I had a purple and gold room, full Lakers. Tried to put a Larry Bird poster, not realizing what it was. And I had a full breakdown. Not doing it. So I kind of got reminded of that watching this episode and had to keep all the Boston juju away from me today, putting on all my Lakers stuff. So
no 4-leaf clover or 3-leaf clovers.
Exactly, I had to keep all that away. So definitely enjoyed all of that and how that played, and we'll sort of go back to that in the end. But to that point, that was part of the end of the episode. But starting off, it went back to Paul Westhead trying to figure out how to keep this team afloat.
Yeah, keep his head above water.
Keep his head above water. We saw last episode, I tried to say, oh, maybe he's finding some confidence and maybe he's in control of the team, and all that went out the window immediately. They kept blowing leads, blowing games with teams, and the teams think it was falling apart. They were trying to figure out how to keep this thing afloat. And go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say it just real quick. I looked up like the record afterwards, and there was like inaccuracies in how like they portrayed like how they were like losing games and stuff too, because like they really only lost like 2 games like in that stretch. Like they had W's sandwiched in there, and some of the scores were different too. Like people were complaining about that, but
that's interesting. Why do you think they did that then? I
think probably to up the dramatization of it, like they say, like how not all of it is completely like fact, how some of it has been dramatized a little bit.
Sure,
because even the game, like the Lakers Celtics game, like they won by 1 point, I think, or they won by 2 instead of 1 in the show, but it also like ended differently. Like it didn't end like on a Michael Cooper buzzer beater.
Yeah, I think I would remember
like on Norm Nixon free throws. So like I think they made a couple choices to like up the drama factor of the episode, so it had like more of like a climax and a build.
I kind of get that, because for entertainment value, as you also said, I love the episode. So on that side, I get it. But for certain things, you can like truly fact check. I think you should get those things and keep them as they were. Because we do want it to be at least somewhat of a true depiction of what went down. So I saw the same reaction you saw online about people kind of annoyed that they stretched some things out. The timeline of things seemed to be
they like didn't even stretch it far. Like they kept it close but changed like little things.
Yeah,
like
if that was the case, just keep it as it is and try to make it as tense as you can make it while keeping it accurate. So that was interesting to see. But even still, as we said, we still enjoyed it all. And it definitely was interesting going back to what I started with Paul trying to manage this team. Definitely felt the pressure of it all. Jack was in the hospital still, but like, I'm coming back and just give me some time. But if Paul can't hold on through this little stretch, then who knows how it's going to go. And he lost the first couple of games and the pressure was on. Tried to even bring in Elgin Baylor to be the replacement.
But Jerry West wanted to,
Jerry West was ready to bring in the guy he actually wanted to be the next coach. But they actually didn't show what happened yet. I think they kind of teased it with him calling Pat Riley first, but I don't think they actually said if Elgin actually found his way to get in contact with West and see what would happen there. So definitely interesting to see how that plays out. What do you think of Paul Westhead in his role in this episode?
Paul Westhead was definitely very doubtful of his capabilities to take over in Jack McKinney's absence. He called in help when he saw that his job was potentially on the line. He called in help from Pat Riley. Because Pat Riley was actually at the very beginning of the episode, like giving him suggestions from the broadcasting booth too, like to sub someone in, that kind of thing. It's like, we can't keep doing things like this. Like I want to bring you on as an assistant, which really it was to save his job, like save his ass. But at the same time, like he could see that like he was itching to be like back in the game as well.
He's been fiending this whole time. Like, it's been very clear. It's very clear, Pat's been fiending. So Paul gave him that.
So that was dope to see, kind of moving to Pat Riley. Like, you kind of saw like the emergence of like Pat Riley. There was a couple times throughout the episode where it would do like a flash to him like as an older man.
I was
like
going to ask about that. What do you think of those little flash forwards of older Pat Riley?
Yeah, those were dope because it was kind of like showing like the evolution like into like the Godfather, like how he's seen now too.
Right.
So that was cool little like flashes throughout. I did it like 2 or 3 times.
Could that also be a small thing to show that he could be around as Godfather Pat Riley in later series as it continues on?
Possible. Yeah, I think maybe a foreshadowing of,
because it still looked accurate to me. It looked like Pat Riley to me. So they could keep him around for that. So I definitely loved how they used him in this episode too.
Right, and just that scene where like he kind of like hazes him into like being a coach, like where he puts him in the shower and turns it on and screaming at him. Like you kind of see like
a couple times.
You see the fire like that Pat Riley had, and that he was built for it already.
Absolutely.
To kind of handle these men, as he told him, like, these are grown men, like these aren't college students anymore, kind of thing.
Right.
So that dynamic was dope to see, that emergence in both of them. He brought it out of Paul Westhead too, like at the game, getting the technical and telling him like it was his team now, like it's his turn now. So that whole dynamic was cool from the coaching staff.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed that. It was interesting though, real quick, just with Paul, in that he kind of fell back into the kind of scared and uncomfortable guy, but was still bold enough to keep Spencer Haywood on the sideline and have that kind of beef with him in the midst of it all. So that kind of caught me off, and that was one of the things that Pat got on Paul about. Spencer started publicly criticizing Paul to media, and Pat was, you can't let him say that. And Paul was just like, hey, you just got to, we'll work it out. It's like Pat's like, come on, bro.
He's like, I started it.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But going forward to what you said, Pat, in that instance, I mentioned, and multiple times, as you also pointed out, Pat kept trying to bring the best out of Paul, and he kind of got some of it. But it was clear that Pat was the one evolving into the guy that we would see today. So definitely loved their dynamic in the show. Also, what was I going to say in that regard? Just that.
Well, I was going to say on that Elgin.
Go ahead.
On the Elgin Baylor front, like as you mentioned, that was like the kind of breaking case of emergency thing that Jerry West wanted to pull in. And Dr. Buss obviously was nervous and antsy with them losing games and losing to the worst team in the league at that point, the Pistons. And they're like, should we make a change? Because we don't really have confidence. Jerry West never had confidence in Paul Westhead. I think when they was first introduced and he was like, oh, like I played you like in college or whatever. And he was like, I hope you're a better coach than player or something like there was no respect from the game. So he was clearly ready to get rid of Paul Westhead. And but I mean, we know how it ends as far as Paul Westhead and then eventually Pat Riley coaching. I don't think Elgin really gets that opportunity in the coaching staff. And he actually meant to call Jerry West.
I pointed that out.
Pat Riley like intercepted the call essentially.
Right. So definitely interesting dynamic. Also, to your point, I think the final nail in the coffin for Paul was that Jack said to Jerry Buss, like, "Hey, you're not going to win a championship with him as a coach."
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah. How so?
Just because, like, one, that was his guy, so like you would think like he would try to like instill like the most faith like in his guy.
But you gotta know the truth sometimes. If you know what the truth is, and he knows he also wants his guy. Yeah, you gotta be like, hey, you know what? He's my guy, but he's not the one to lead this team. Also, as a guy trying to say that he wants to come back, I think he was trying to be like, he's not going to do it, so let me come back so I can do it. He was clearly thinking to get back himself. So I think that's partially for himself as well.
He was thinking that way too, and just I just think it's interesting because like they didn't show him like watching the games. It was more so like maybe he was like listening to the radio or everything, that kind of thing. So he wasn't necessarily like seeing the job he was doing. He was just kind of hearing and then seeing the results of them losing.
Right.
But also too, I was surprised because he would go on to win the title with them. Paul said, like, she was like, I don't think he can do it. No, it's not gonna happen, kind of thing. Yeah, I can. So it was just a funny moment for me because I was like, oh, like I would have thought that he kind of had like faith in his guy. Kind of thing,
Right.
but,
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing. There's a lot of people trying to maneuver and kind of Game of Thrones type of thing going on at the moment. Everybody trying to find their spots there. So they're definitely enjoying it all. Man, in the middle of it all, we also have, we just talking about all the staff and all these other guys going on. You still have Magic and the guys on the court. And it seems dynamic of Magic still trying to find his way and maneuvering through the limelight and all that kind of stuff and trying to manage deals. And what's the guy's name? Dr. Day or wherever his name is, the guy, the agent that he's with.
Like from the church.
Yeah, with Professor Day, however they call him. My apologies, but him trying to help him out with deals. And actually, they went and played the Pistons, and y'all went back home. And Magic's father, Urban Senior, was trying to be more involved with deals and do what's best for the family. And Magic was like, "Oh no, we got it over here. Don't worry about it," and create some risks there. What do you think of that dynamic and how Magic is already seeming to, I want to say, get lost in the light, but I guess kind of turning away from his family a bit.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a really integral like part of the episode, just like him, Urban Senior talking to Kareem, like as Magic was kind of just like out there holding court, I guess you could say.
Real quick, I think we asked the same question an episode or two ago, just about how Kareem seems so affected by everything, but Magic still was just happy as can be, even in the middle of all the stuff going on. So that was definitely a powerful conversation.
Yeah. His pops had just told him like that he had too many voices in his ear, and it feels like that's what he truly felt just seeing how Magic operated with this new found Hollywood limelight. But it seemed like him and Kareem were more like on the similar page as far as the black male experience and what it's like to be a black man in America. And I said this not to compare them obviously as people, because OJ was a murderer, but
where are you going? Where's this going?
Magic, for me, I wrote down like Magic has some of the OJ Simpson in him where he basks in the limelight of white America. And what's it called? Richard Pryor in the previous episode depiction kind of talked about the difference between like being nigger rich and like being rich in white America kind of thing. And you could kind of see that it was kind of rubbing Kareem a little bit the wrong way. His positive affect and how he completely just basks in the love of white America, even though like he knows how they view us when we're not like putting on a show for them kind of thing. But I think in a way, because you saw Kareem try to talk to Magic in the locker room, I think he kind of, while he takes exception to how Magic operates, he kind of like came to terms with it in a way and was like, we don't necessarily have to be the same, but like just need Magic to like be able to like harness it for his own power. Like he talked to him about like the silence being power. So I thought that was a really like integral part of the episode, just the dynamic between Magic and Kareem. Being different personalities, but you don't necessarily have to be the same personality to build chemistry and build a winning team, a dynasty. So
correct. As you pointed out with the Richard Pryor discussion as well, people keep trying to tell Magic about the limelight and what comes with it. And in a way, he seems like he's ignoring what they're saying, but at the same time, he's not also getting lost in the mix fully either. I know he still has his mess ups, and we'll get to some of the joking stuff that he did as well. But yeah, he and the talk that you pointed out about Kareem and I believe the exact quote was "Silence isn't invisibility; it's power." I thought that definitely was a very key point of the episode and seeing how that dynamic played out. So yeah, I definitely hear you in that, and definitely interested in how Magic continues to evolve throughout the show here. So yeah it's definitely been entertaining to see how that all is playing out. Definitely enjoyed that. And then just sticking with Magic, what do you think of, I guess, going to the joking side, just to see the mistakes I guess he continues to make and trying to manage things with Cookie, and then the friend comes along and that dynamic that played out too.
the whole dynamic with Cookie is a mess. Like I could see if they kind of got wind of how they were portrayed in the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
If Magic was not looking forward to watching this and having Cookie be like, "Oh, this is how you were, this is how you were doing back in the day." I can see Magic being not too excited about that, but I mean, Magic, we know how things ended up.
Man.
We know you were out in these streets. We know you were out in these streets back in the day. So,
man, yeah,
and he's got his Apple TV documentary coming to try to combat the narrative that Time has created. But we know Magic. It's okay. Say your piece, we know.
We saw the Playboy interview. We've seen enough evidence already.
Oh, that was crazy.
It's all right, bro. It's all right.
He was talking crazy on the airwaves there.
Yep.
That whole dynamic between Magic and Cookie continues to unfold as he's kind of stringing her along. She's trying to act like she's stringing him along, but really she's kind of enamored by how everyone is into Magic now too, like how he's become a celebrity. Like I forget exactly what she told her friend, but basically that like she had him wrapped around her finger. And then when she saw him in the lobby, it was like her eyes got big. Like you could see the celebrity that he now commanded. So yeah, that toxic at this point kind of relationship is
very much so.
Is interesting to see. And I didn't know that it was fully going to go there. I knew someone was going to pop out of the bathroom after she left. I didn't know it was going to be her best friend. Like,
yeah, that part was crazy.
That was a little crazy. Yeah,
that part was crazy.
Yeah, so Magic was playing dirty out there for sure.
Yeah, very much so. And yeah, it just continues to be a mess with him. But enjoying all the dynamics of the episode, enjoying all the things that are going on with him.
Yeah,
I think that was really everything that went on in the episode. What do you think is coming up next? I think I saw more Celtics stuff going on, but any other predictions or any just previews of what's to come?
Yeah, I'm kind of blanking on what the preview was because they did give us a little peek at what next episode would be like. But,
they showed more of Red staring at Jerry Buss in the stands, and
that was a funny moment too. And
yeah.
He pulled out the binoculars to Buss in the stands, put him in the worst seat in the house.
Yep.
But they still got the dub. So that was the whole like the gameplay, because we haven't gotten a whole lot of gameplay like in this series. They kind of just started an episode or two ago, just like getting into the actual like NBA basketball part of it. But I thought that was handled pretty well, like as well as you could. With actors who aren't NBA players.
Exactly.
But yeah, I thought they created a cool atmosphere there. But as far as looking forward to the next episodes, I mean, we got to get to the title. I guess they're about like halfway through.
I guess so.
Now,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The timeline's a little confusing in there. So
yeah,
we'll see how they fast forward
things. To at least this 1980 title in the next 3 episodes. So
yeah,
interested to see they're probably like, as far as Jack McKinney trying to get back with the team, you're probably going to see a little bit of that. And Paul Westhead and Pat Riley kind of catching stride too. Right. So maybe there's a little bit of conflict there because I know they end up firing McKinney. So there's probably going to be some conflict there with it being like his team and his vision and then wanting to come back.
Paul's going to click and Pat Riley's going to be fiending still. And there's just a few, there's too many heads right there trying to get at the top there. So it's going to get a little messy again.
Absolutely. Oh, and that was something we saw in the preview. Dr. J, the Sixers and Dr. J.
Right.
So a couple more stars probably as far as the rivalries that Magic had and those Showtime Lakers had on the way to their dynasty. So excited to see more of those. I was going to say too, with Elgin Baylor, Orlando Jones was a funny intro.
Yeah, I blinked on his name earlier, but that's who it was. Definitely, love his portrayal of it, and I would love to see more involvement of him in the show. That he's a amazing actor. So definitely enjoyed that.
Yeah, but very excited. I thought if this wasn't the best episode, it was up there. Like I thoroughly enjoyed this one for sure.
Absolutely. So continue to enjoy it. Lastly, that's something I kept wanting to bring up to you. What do you think of up until the last couple episodes, there wasn't a lot of media acknowledgement of the show as it was going on. It felt like for the first 5-6 episodes, there was like Daniel felt like a scrub of any acknowledgement of winning time. When now it continues to go on, it's continuing to build more momentum. Now we see little acknowledgments of it on TV. Or maybe I just missed it early on, but it just felt like Magic put a call in early on about, hey, don't cover the show. Now it's getting some attention. What do you think about it growing in pop culture now as the show it continues on?
Yeah, I mean, I think Magic did himself a disservice by saying he wasn't interested, because I think that got us more interested to see.
Right. If anything, he should have been quiet. He should have just not acknowledged it at all.
We're like, if Magic doesn't like it, they must be really getting to it.
Kareem told him silence isn't invincibility, is power. Exactly. You should just stay quiet. But he used to have little comments about stuff, and it only adds more to our interest there. So
he knew he had his coming, so he probably wanted the views and the money to go to that. But sorry, it's HBO Max, it's Adam McKay, it's the Lakers. Like, it's a different beast, Magic. You gotta know people are gonna be heavy on this.
Exactly. So very, very excited to see it growing in popularity, and continuing to see what goes on next in the show. I guess the last thing kind of circles, do I ask you again? Just in the timeline, I'm actually now, I guess I'm a little bit more confused actually, and just how these last 3 episodes are going to carry on. Because again, we also pointed out the very first scene of the first episode was Magic and his things at the end of his career. So if they tease that at the very beginning and don't circle back to it, I don't really know how they fast forward through all this stuff to get back to that start point. So that could be why they add the second season. With hope, they were hoping to get it renewed and people would like it, so they can get back and get to that point again. But if they were to get to that point now, I don't see how they do that again in these next 3 episodes. So timeline, that's the only thing I guess critique wise. Timeline's a little shaky on it all, but outside of that, thoroughly enjoying all that we're getting from Winning Time and enjoying talking about it every week. As we said, we'll have our Boston expert, Matt, rejoin us next week to talk more about the dynamic of Boston fans and that Celtic rivalry from the other side of the fence there. And just enjoying all to come. So great things across the board. Any other comments you have real quick, Alec?
Nah, F Boston. That was a great game yesterday, though.
Yeah, whatever, man. Still F Boston. I was with it yesterday. But we'll talk more about that and things that come on our pod in the middle of the week. More good discussions to come. Final regular season awards and things. Finals were just announced, so we'll make our picks for that. Discuss what's going on in the playoffs. The USFL and other football leagues are popping up. If you think intrigue in that, we'll discuss that and things and beyond. There'll be more great things to come in the show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in again. It's your boy G along with Alec. Follow us, just say G and Alec, Lakers Fan 24 online. Follow the show, IG and TikTok at section.300. Follow us on Twitter at Section Sports. And appreciate all the love there. Subscribe to the show for all you guys watching on YouTube and on podcasting services. We'll see you guys shortly, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Peace.
Deuces.